So it's been 35 years since former Mozambican President Samora Machel died. The statesman passed away in 1986 after his plane crashed in South Africa's Lebombo mountains. The country has recently been troubled by the uprising of insurgency. To look back at the life of the late leader and to review the state of Mozambique today, I'm joined by the late president's son, Samora Machel Junior. Hoyo hoyo, Samita, and thank you so much for joining us this afternoon.
Thank you for inviting me for this program.
So there's a story that I would like for you to verify for us, right? So your father, when two of your siblings were a little bit not following, the rules of your father, he then took them to a campsite where there was the production program in rural areas. Just take us back there and tell us about the disciplinarian that he was, not just for everyday Mozambicans, but at home.
Well, the story is not quite like that. What really happened was he was a very disciplinarian father, and he always wanted us to live our lives according to the rules that he had at home. And on top of that, we had to be more disciplined than the people in the country. Had to be an example. So he didn't want to say he wanted to set an example to the people starting from his own home. So we, as his children, had to be very disciplined. Now, what happened was the first one was my sister Ornella, whom there were 8 of us, 4 boys and 4 girls. So Ornella, as a young woman, she had a boyfriend and she got pregnant, and for that he was not very happy. He said that he had to set an example because if children are not producing, in this case at school, because of mischievements, then she needed to go and start a family life and start working in an area. Where she was supposed to go was to Unango, which is in the northern province of Niassa, where there was a project started by the government to build a new village, a new exemplary city city of the future for the country. And that's where she was sent to with her husband to live in. The second was my brother Dewane, very good swimmer, very good student, that from some stage he decided not to do well at school, and he started drinking and not appearing at school. So he was very, very upset. This brother of mine went to military training, and he became an officer later on.
So that discipline would come from the inside out. Thank you very much for clarifying that.
He was very, very, very tough with us. We had to have a program to present to him for the whole week. At the weekend, we would all sit down and talk and discuss and he would want to find out how school was going every single day. At the end of the day, we need to give him a report of our work at school, and if we had homework to do, and if we had tests, we had to show the tests, and then also present what was going to be our program.
Sometimes when parents do things to us when we're younger, we think it's punishment, but they're actually preparing us for the future. That experience that you had with your father, you and your siblings, but perhaps for the sake of this conversation, you personally, how do you think that shaped you as a person?
Well, as a youngster, as a child, I didn't think he was. I lost when my father was killed. I was only 16, so I was still in the prime of my youth, if I can call it. And so as all the years before, to me, yes, sometimes it would be boring talking to us, explaining to us, telling us what to do, how life should be conducted. But, those years of talking and showing us by experience has given us, at least to me, a different way of looking to life. The tendency of you looking at life as very easy because you are the son of the president, it happens to a lot of youngsters. He was very careful not to let us fall into that. You would say that the president in this country, it's me, and you are my children. You are normal citizens. You have to behave. You have to behave to protect me. First. Secondly, you have to behave and learn how to live as a normal citizen, because this position of presidency is not for life. One day I'll step down and you'll have to live a normal life. If you're not used to it, you'll have problems. So you have to respect other people for them to respect you, first of all. Second, you have to know that there are rules in life, and those rules are very important for your upbringing and for your capacity to be able to blend in society.
You speak of how Please finish your thought.
Yes. I'm saying now that when I look back, I said, well, thank you that he did teach us that we as a family, we are a very respected family in the society. People look to us as examples, and at the same time, we also helped maintain high the respect that people had for Samora Machel. Everyone look up to Samora Machel and they say, oh, his family are also an example. So he was not only preaching to us people of the country, but he also did it with their children, his family.
You speak of how he told you that the position for presidency is not for life. His was a life that was cut short, and the trajectory as a consequence of Mozambique, perhaps the rest of the continent as well, was derailed. There's been a lot of talk about the passing of your father and there needing to be a truth that is told. Firstly, do you believe that there's a truth that needs to be told? What is it? And would you say that you have closure?
First of all, there's no closure yet. The closure will only come when the truth is going to be told to us as a family, to us as the bigger family of the other people, all the martyrs that fell with my father on that flight. Sorry. And then to the people of Mozambique and people of Africa, Southern Africa and Africa in general. I mean, it's been 35 years. Both governments of Mozambique and South Africa announced several times that the investigations were going on, but we as a family, we've never had, for the past couple of years, we've never had a report or any feedback from either governments on how is the process going. So we are really worried and also interested to know what is being done, and also we want to have the closure on this so that we can move on.
I would like for us to talk about your father's political ideology, but first, let's take a listen at this.
In Mozambique, the army of Frelimo had also made progress, with thousands of young men and women committed to the struggle. But like other nationalist movements in periods of great tension, Frelimo had to overcome internal divisions in the leadership. It was in 1968 that Frelimo, Mozambique's liberation movement, held a crucially important congress.
So, Samito, in this video, your father is then captured saying, and I quote, "Ours was a people's war. First one must have a clear political concept in order to be able to understand the enemy's policy, to know the enemy's objective and to assess the enemy's strength correctly. Unless one reaches this political understanding first, it is not possible to adopt the correct strategy." You were only 16 when your father had passed away, but from how you describe him and how you talk about him, I can tell that he's made a very lasting impact on your life. What would you say his political ideology was?
He was a man of the people. Samora Machel fought for the well-being of people. He wanted to liberate people, both to be independent politically, but also economically. He wanted to see people developing free of any I'm struggling for words here, but he wanted to see people being able to give their best for the country. Yes, he wanted also the best of, at that time when Mozambique became independent and during his leadership in the country. I remember it was a very difficult time because you had the Cold War. So he had two different ideologies, but he created his own ideology, which was similar. If we start to analyze and looking back, it was similar to what the socialism, communist ideologies were. But he wanted his own and Mozambique's own ideology for developing the country. I don't know if I made sense to you.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yes.
With what you have said, let's fast forward to Mozambique 2021 and all that is happening in the country. Let's go specifically to the north of Mozambique. I would like for us to play this for you, and we discuss it in a moment. Let's take a look, listen.
The struggle continues.
A luta continua. A luta continua. Contra o quê?
Against what? Against what must the struggle continue?
Contra o tribalismo.
Against tribalism.
A luta continua.
And what else must we struggle against?
Contra a ignorância.
Against ignorance.
Contra o analfabetismo.
Against illiteracy.
Contra a exploração do homem pelo homem.
Against exploitation.
Contra a superstição.
Against superstition.
Contra a miséria.
Against misery.
Contra a fome.
Against
Contra
hunger.
o pé descalço.
Against lack of clothing.
A luta continua.
The struggle continues,
Para que sejamos todos homens iguais.
so that someday we will all be equal.
And that is courtesy of Pan-African on YouTube. Samito, when you listen to your father talk about the struggle continuing, today Mozambique faces a security crisis in the north, with people having been butchered, a fight for gas, natural resources of Mozambique, the interference of outside forces in Cabo Delgado. Just what has it meant for that country?
When I listen to his words today, they're still valid to what the country is going through now. We still have to fight against tribalism. We still have to fight against poverty. We still have to end people barefoot, walking around barefoot, not having clothes to wear, not having enough food to eat. I mean, you have a lot of people that can barely make one meal a day. And this is something that Samora Machel didn't want. Now, we have now natural resources that have been discovered. All of a sudden, Mozambique has become a hotspot for all the big players in the oil and gas industry. Obviously, they'll come in, but the way I look at it, the problem in the northern province of Cabo Delgado has first to be resolved by ourselves. Because if we do not resolve this problem, then we won't be able to tackle all the other problems that all the powers that are intervening and all the people that want to benefit instead of giving it to the people. If you look at it, it was in the region where the project of LNG is going to be developed. Mm. Obviously, those families are feeling aggrieved by what is going on, and could have been the catalyst to what we saw. And there's no one else who can solve that if it's not the Mozambicans themselves. We have to sit down, we have to talk, we have to discuss, we have to find what is the root cause of that problem. Because when it started, there was no foreigners. There were no foreign powers in here. Mm. It was started amongst ourselves, and we didn't take immediate action to stop it or to resolve, and we still haven't done that. Now we have foreign forces, foreign boots. One of them is also the South African Defense Force is there to help us, but this help has a time period. When they have to leave, we have to be in a position to sort it out. It's going to take time to resolve, and I think we also have to be clear of what we want of those resources and how do we want to benefit first the communities around where the projects are going to happen, and also the rest of the country. If we look around the country, we still have poverty, extreme poverty. We're still struggling to look at people and feel that those people feel completely independent. And with all those problems come tribalism, localism, exploitation from one man to another, and all those other problems.
We're going to continue after this short break to be in conversation with Samora Machel Junior. He's joining us from Maputo in Mozambique. Do stay with us. Hello again. Thank you so much for staying with us. We're still in conversation with Samora Machel Junior. Samito, I would like for us to look at your political trajectory, right? You are a member of the Central Committee of Frelimo. However, back in 2018, after not being considered as the ruling Frelimo Party's mayoral candidate of Maputo in the local government election there, you decided to contest outside the party, having grown up, having been oriented, having done everything for Frelimo for all your life. What propelled you to deviate in 2018?
In 2018, before I started, actually, I would have to go back 2 years or a bit more, before I considered running for mayor of Maputo, the city of Maputo. I was invited by members of the party at a junior level, at a grassroots level. Several members came to me and suggested that I should run, and they pushed me. Initially, I refused. Several times I refused, and I said that I didn't think I could add value to the process or to the project in town. But then after the insistence, and they brought points that left me with no reason to object. So I accepted it, and my first steps were to go and communicate my seniors. And first of all, I spoke to my president of the party, to inform that what had happened with the members of the party. The president didn't have any objections, so I started talking to the other senior members of the central political bureau, and other members of the central committee, and none of them objected to it. So I started doing work on the grass, talking to people in town, trying to learn and understand what the municipality was about and what needed to be done. Never the party was against it. Came time to submit my candidacy within the party, because there were other members also running for it. Out of the 7 districts of Maputo, 6 districts supported my candidacy. Only one, because I didn't have the chance to go to that district because it was away from here. But 6 of the districts supported me, and people outside, supporters of the party, and people that were not members of the party supported me. It was a very strong candidacy. Then the dirty trick started in the party. My name was taken out of the list, never explained why I was out of the list when my candidacy proposal was the best out of all of the candidates, was in time, had most districts supporting it, and all the numbers of signatures needed were there, and everything. Some of the candidates didn't have all those documents, and some of them even submitted it after the deadline. But it was removed. My name was removed. It was not explained, and I was seeking an explanation from the secretariat of the city of Maputo. They never gave me an explanation. I went to check with the verification committee, which verifies that the processes are. It's like the police within the party, and I asked them to check and to see and to go and verify that the process was clean and transparent, which it wasn't. But nothing was given to me. Nothing was told me. So the people came to me and said that since the party does not want you to run, we want you to consider running with the civil society. It took me a while to decide because I never imagined running outside the party. And I said, okay, fine, civil society, but who is this civil society? The group of people who were in the civil society were members of the party as well that were not happy with what was going on in the city. So I joined this group of the civil society to run, and everyone was happy. And we were sure that we were going to win because we had a very, very strong support in the city. We submitted it to the National Elections Committee at the central level, and there they used other tricks, which were they scared some of the members and they made them remove their candidacy, which made my list short of members. If you are short of members, you cannot run. That's how they got me out of the race.
Samita, what is your relationship with Frelimo now, you would say?
My relationship with Frelimo is good. I don't know what the Frelimo relationship with me is, but I have a good relationship with the party. I've never left the party. And that I've always said, I'm not leaving the party. I'm joining the civil society because I'm always with the people. I'm for the people, and I'm always with the people. The people always have the right answer for all the problems, and you have to help the people. Well, we are here to work for the people, not to work for ourselves. So I joined the civil society, and my intention, and I explained to the party knows, because I said, I'm joining the civil society, but I'm going to work with the party, because the party still has a story to tell in this country, and still is the leading political organization in the country. And there's a lot of things to be done.
There's a lot of things to be done. In closing up the
Correct.
conversation, your father, Samora Machel, you mention his name, you think of the Nyereres of this world, you think of the Haile Selassies of this world, you think of the Kenneth Kaundas of this world. Those are the caliber of leaders that once had such a big promise of seeing a united, free Africa. When you reflect on not only the state of Mozambique today, but the state of the continent, what would your reaction or your reflection be very quickly for us, please?
We failed them. We failed them. They must be up there looking at us in disbelief. Or, as we say, they must be turning in their graves because they cannot believe what is happening to the continent. The current leadership in this continent is only worried about themselves or about their own small groups of people. We're not there to do things for the people, for the country. And those leaders were there to work for the countries and for the people.
Absolutely. Samora Vive, thank you very much, Samora Machel Junior. Obrigado. Thank you very much for joining us this afternoon and for sharing some of the fondest memories of your father.